This exercise is your box press up. So really it's an upper body strengthening exercise. But again, you've got core and scapular stability to consider. The other thing you want to consider is wrist and knee issues. If you've got any wrist problems, can go onto the knuckles or onto the elbows, performing the dolphin exercise as a suitable alternative. And I'm going to get Jasmine to demonstrate the box press up in a down dog position. So with the knees raised off the floor, if kneeling is an issue for some people for this exercise. So I'm going to use my mat as an alignment here because I want to show you a couple of variations. So hands shoulder width apart, shoulders over the hands, knees hip width apart, hips directly over the knees in that all fours, 4-point kneeling position, neutral pelvis. So I'm going to bend the elbows. Now if I want to make it easy, there are a few things I can do. First thing is I can widen my elbows. So my elbows point sideways as opposed to backwards, okay? And that makes it easier. The wider my hands are, the easier it is. The narrower, the harder, okay? So if I wanted to make it easy, I'm going to have a wide stance, point my elbows out to the side. Obviously, the deeper I bend, the harder it is because I'm contracting more. But really it's about the body weight and how much weight I can lean over the arms. That's the biggest determinant of arm strength here. So for me, if I was wanting to do a few press-ups, let's say I've got my nose to level with the edge of the mat, which is where my tallest fingers are. I might just do 3 or 4 and give it a number out of 10, and that number might be 4, quite easy. So in order to make it harder, I got to get my nose forward of that line. So I might go here, and I might think, okay, that's gone up to a 6 because I'm leaning more body weight over the arms. And I'm looking really for about a level 7, which is what I would call challenging. Not too difficult, not impossible, but it's hard work. If I lean too far forward, and you'll see this because clients start to pull back and lean back and they have poor technique, then that's too far, okay? So I'm judging my next press up on the one before. If it was a 7, I'll continue putting my nose back in the same position. If it was an 8 on the next press up, I'm going to bring my nose in a little bit. If I then bring it in too much and it goes down to a 6, my next press up, I'm going to push it further forward. So you're judging the next press up on the one before because every single one wants to feel about a level 7, quite challenging. Okay, so Jasmine's going to demonstrate, and I'm going to show you a few different variations. But what I often make my class do is to not bend as deep, but get a bigger lean forward. So I might have them lean forward with their elbows straight, then bend halfway down, lean further forward, and stay leaning forward as they straighten the arms until they get a real shake in the arms. And that leaning further forward and going halfway down is much more challenging than leaning here and going all the way down, which is fairly easy. So really trying to get the most from your clients by encouraging them to lean forward as much as they can, keeping that tight technique. Okay, so I'm going to turn this mat around, and there are a couple of things I want you to watch out for here, is the ribs and the shoulders. So as clients bend the elbows, just watch the shoulders don't hike up and the ribs don't pop. So really keep those ribs connected and those shoulders down. Okay, Jasmine? So coming onto all fours, let's get the fingertips level with the edge of the mat, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. So there's your typical basic box press up position. So to make it easier, let's widen the hands. And we're going to limit the range of movement, so she's just going to bend halfway down, but we're not going to keep the nose any further than where the mat is level. So the elbows are wide, the hands are wide, and she's only bending halfway down, and then push up. Yes, let's do that one more time. Inhale, and exhale. Exhale on the effort, and the effort is pushing yourself away from the floor again. How did that, what number was that, Jasmine?
About 3 or 4.
About 3 or 4. So let's bring the hands back onto the mat. We're now going to narrow the stance, and we're going to point the elbows backwards. Now, when people point the elbows backwards, there's a tendency to lean back. So I want to keep that nose directly above the edge of the mat as Jasmine leans back. And she almost wants to scrape her upper arm against the side of her ribs as she bends. So you're going to inhale and take the little bit deeper range of movement, keeping those ribs connected, keeping those shoulders away from the ears, and slowly straightening up again. One more time. Nice. Could you feel the difference, Jasmine? What was that number there?
About 5 or 6.
About 5 or 6. Let's just try it on the knuckles in order to try to keep the wrist in a more neutral position. Again, the elbows can go sideways or backwards. And let's try that position here. And you see the wrist there's less severe angle at the wrist joint there. And inhaling as she bends, exhaling as she straightens. Let's show the dolphin exercise. So for somebody that's got, again, really severe wrist problems, or they're, too unsteady on their knuckles. So the elbows this time go underneath the shoulders. Jasmine leans forwards, chin comes to the knuckles, keeping the rib connection, and then she pushes back. Often there's a tendency for clients to push back too far. You only want to push back as far as the shoulders stay directly above that elbow. So leaning forward without hunching, so really drawing down those lower trapezius muscles to prevent the shoulders from collapsing, and then pushing back, really connecting those ribs. So it's shoulders drawing down as she leans forward, breathing in, and as she breathes out, ribs connecting just to there. Now, the further forward Jasmine leans, if she was to get her nose in front of the knuckles, the further forward she leans, keeping those ribs connected, slowly coming back. The further forward she goes, the bigger the range of movement, the harder it is, okay? We'll just show that version in a down dog position, so more advanced position. So we're gonna lift the knees off. So this is for people with knee issues. Now, you might say, oh, well, just do a full plank press up, which of course, if your clients are strong enough to maintain that stable core without sagging in their lower back, then of course you're free to do that. But if they're not, then this is the next best thing that they can do where their knees are not touching the floor for those with knee issues. Now, there's a tendency as people bend the elbows to drop the butt down low, coming towards a plank position. But really we want to maintain that spike, that peak, that down dog position. And Jasmine tries to bend her elbows and get the crown of the head in between the thumbs. And you see this nice position is kept. This is not an easy option. In fact, it's much harder, but it just is a way of getting around that knee option. One more time, inhaling as she bends, only bending as far as she can handle, and then exhaling, straightening up, and then bending those knees back down. How did that position feel?
That was harder, yeah.
It is harder. So it can be used as a modified version for those who can't put their knees on the floor for knee issues, or it can just be used as a more challenging variation one week if your clients want an extra work in that upper body. But try not to let the pelvis swing down, so you're not coming from a down dog to a plank, you're staying in that spiked position.